Hello! Today we are going to learn the story of bad Y. Learning this story will help us read words that end in the letter Y. As you know, the letter Y has 3 sounds. When it sounds like a consonant, it goes Y, as in yellow. Other times, though, Y makes the sound of the vowel I. I, as in fly, my, buy. And for its 3rd sound, sometimes Y makes the sound of a long E, such as baby, lady, party. Y, I, E, 3 different sounds. How do you know which one to pick when you're reading words? Today we are not going to focus on the consonant sound. Instead, we are going to focus on the bad Y sounds. I'll tell you a story, and then we'll read words where Y sounds like an E or an I in words. The alphabet has special letters, and they are called vowels. A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U, A-E-I-O-U. The vowels were always getting picked on at school. They got made fun of because they made baby sounds. They talked like little kids. Listen. A, E, I, A. All of the other letters were constantly teasing them, saying, babies, babies, you talk like babies. A, E, I, A. What baby sounds you make. This hurt the vowels' feelings. They decided to come up with a plan. I said, I know. We can go and form a club. And it can be a superhero club. We'll transform ourselves so that we no longer have to talk like babies. We'll have completely different characters. All of the vowels agreed. That's a great idea, they said. Where should our club meet? The letter I said, I have a treehouse in my backyard. That will be our perfect meeting spot. All of the vowels agreed to meet at I's secret treehouse the next day after school. The treehouse had a long ladder leading up to it, and lots of bushes and shrubs at the base. There was one small window for looking out, and a door. The vowels met inside I's treehouse and started making their plan. They said, we're tired of always getting made fun of for talking like babies. A. We need to transform ourselves into superheroes. If we transform ourselves, we won't have to talk like babies anymore. We can sound much more grown up. The A said, when I put my superhero cape on, then I'm going to say my name like this. A! Oh, that's a great idea. I'll put my superhero cape on, and I'll say my name in a very clear, powerful voice too. E! I want to do the same thing. I'll put my superhero cape on and say my name in a powerful way. I! O and U copied. They put on superhero capes and practiced saying their names in loud, clear voices. O! U! This is great, they thought. Now instead of talking like babies, we can start making the sound of our name. Then people will take us seriously and stop teasing us. This is perfect. So they continued to have their discussion. Little did they know, one particular letter had followed them after school. Bad Y had heard them whispering about their plan to start a superhero club. He did not like the sound of that plan at all. After all, he was the bad guy. Bad Y. So he followed them after school, snuck into the bushes at the base of the treehouse, and waited. He overheard everything they were talking about and thought to himself, I need to be in this superhero club. I can't let them become too powerful. And he thought, how can I get into this treehouse? How can I convince them to open the door? I know! He came up with the perfect plan. I'll disguise myself. I'll make them think that I'm one of them, and they'll have to open the door. So the letter Y crept up the ladder. He got all the way to the top, where the door was, and gave a big clear knock. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. The vowels on the inside started saying, "Who's there? Who's there?" That's when the letter Y sneakily replied, "It's me. I'm E." If you're the letter E, what does your sound make? Pardon me, what sound do you make? E! They looked around and thought, "Oh, that's interesting. E is already in here. Maybe it's an E from another school. Okay, well, we should open the door then. He's one of us." Carefully, they turned the knob, opened the door, and barely when it was open, just a tiny creak, all of the vowels realized, "That's not an E, that's a bad Y. Quick, close the door, close the door." They closed it, slamming it in a hurry. Letter Y went tumbling out of the treehouse. No, into the bushes below, landing with a thud on the ground on his head. Ouch! The vowels panicked. That was a close call. The bad Y almost got in. We have to be more careful next time. From now on, if anyone says that they are the letter E, we need to look out our window first and make sure. The letter Y was not ready to give up. In fact, he was all the more angry and determined to get inside the clubhouse. He thought, I can't pretend to be the letter E anymore. This time I'll pretend to be the letter I. Then they'll have to let me in. Yeah, this'll work, he thought. So he crept up the ladder, got all the way to the top, and gave a loud rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat on the door. The vowels inside all started yelling, "Who's there? Who is it?" The letter Y replied, "It's me, I." "If you're the letter I, what sound do you make?" The Y exclaimed, "I." Maybe it's a letter I from another school, they thought. So carefully they turned the knob on the door and creaked it open just a crack. In that moment, they panicked. "Oh no, it's the bad Y again. Quick, everyone, close the door, close the door." With barely a moment to spare, they sent the letter Y tumbling down into the bushes again on his head. Thunk! He landed, hitting the ground hard. This time the vowels were determined to come up with a new plan to protect their clubhouse. "That was close," they said. "That was close. Letter Y has almost tricked us twice. First he pretended to sound like E, and then he pretended to sound like I. We need to stop him once and for all." So they decided to lower a net out their treehouse window. The net was hidden by the bushes down below. They thought to themselves, "The next time he tries to creep up our treehouse and he goes tumbling back down, we'll scoop him up and trap him in this net." Sure enough, the Y tried again and again. Every time he thought, "I'll be the E or I'll be the I." The very next time that he tried, and the vowels knew it was him, they shoved the door shut after he had knocked, sending the Y tumbling down to the ground so that he landed in the net in the bushes. They pulled up the net, only to reveal the Y trapped inside once and for all. That is the story of Bad Y. The reason we learned that story is to help us remember that sometimes the letter Y does not make its consonant sound Y. Sometimes it sounds like E or I. Let's practice reading some words that have a bad Y at the end. You can write them down too and draw a net around the bad Y if you want to catch him. Here are 3 words. They all have a bad Y at the end. That's something you should notice. Bad Ys always come at the end of words. So any Y at the end typically will not say y, its consonant sound. It will always sound like a bad Y, E or I. How do you know what kind of bad Y this is? How do you know if it's saying E or if it is saying I? The trick is, if the word is small and has only one syllable, it will sound like an I. These are all Ys that sound like I. Later on, we'll look at longer words with more than 2 syllables, and those will sound like an E. Okay, let's try these out. Now remember, each of these words has a bad Y that sounds like I because they're short. Let's look at the first one. I, my. This one also is a short 1-syllable word. The Y sounds like I. I, buy. This is also a short 1-syllable word. The Y sounds like I. It's got a digraph at the beginning. Sh, I, shy. My, buy, shy. If I count the syllables, my, buy, shy, you will notice these are all 1-syllable words, so the Y sounds like I. Let's look at a few more examples of short 1-syllable words where the Y sounds like an I. These are all short 1-syllable words. They have a bad Y at the end. This one starts with a digraph. I, Y. This one starts with a blend. I, try. This one also starts with a blend. Full, I, fly. Y, try, fly. Let's check the syllables. Y, try, fly. They are all 1-syllable words. The bad Y sounds like an I. As we remember from our story, sometimes the bad Y pretends to be a different vowel. Sometimes the bad Y pretends to be E with his superhero cape on top. Let's look at some words that have 2 or more syllables. The bad Y at the end will sound like E. These words are longer. They have 2 or more syllables. They all end in a bad Y. But since they're longer words, this time the bad Y is pretending to be E when he gets into the treehouse. Let's try and read the first one. App, hap, E, happy. Fun, E, funny, funny. S, mess, messy, messy. Happy, funny, messy. Happy, funny, messy. Yes, these words have at least 2 syllables. That is why the bad Y is sounding like a long E. E. Let's look at a few more. These words all end in bad Y. They have at least 2 syllables, so the bad Y sounds like a long E. E. Let's look at the first one. A blend and a digraph. St, ick, stick, E, sticky, sticky. Blend at the beginning. Per, et, E. Sounds like pretty. In fact, this word says pretty. A blend at the beginning. Sm, el, smell, smell, E, smelly, sticky, pretty, smelly. these words all have 2 syllables. Sticky, pretty, smelly. That's why the Y at the end sounds like E. So remember, the letter Y has 3 different sounds. When Y comes at the beginning of a word, it makes its consonant sound, Y, as in the word yes, or Y. Yellow, yellow. However, when Y comes at the end of a word, it's a bad Y. Sometimes it sounds like an I, and other times it sounds like an E. Be on the lookout for bad Y. Feel free to trap him with a big old net if you find him. See you next time.